Welcome to The Family Business, a podcast about football and life from the perspective of a coach and his daughter. I'm Stephanie Turner, and I'm here with my dad, Norv. And our guest today is a fellow coach's kid, but he's also a former NFL quarterback who played an impressive 16 seasons in the league and helped redefine what was possible for Black quarterbacks in professional football. He's an athlete, a pioneer, and a thoughtful commentator on the evolution of the sport. Rodney Peete, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. It's I love the name of the show, Family Business, because that's what it is. And you guys, of course, you guys are family to me as well. But thanks for that intro, man. That was pretty good, just like I wrote it.
Yeah, of course. Well, I didn't include that you are someone that I've known my entire life, because I think my dad might have been at practice with you when I was born, or I'm sure he was at the hospital when I was born, but rushing from practice, because I'm born. My birthday's July 22nd, which I don't know. Were you guys in camp then at USC?
And we probably not yet, but we're working our way to it. There's no question.
Yeah. And I think it was your freshman year. So I think if we go back to how we know you, it's before I was born, because my dad recruited you. And he has some great stories and memories about that.
Well, the thing was, everyone was pretty strict in those days, the rules and how many times you could visit or what you could do. And I had the perfect end because Rodney played high school football in Arizona till his senior year, when his dad, who was a great running back coach, got a job with the Chiefs at Kansas City. So Rodney chose to play his senior year in Kansas City. And it was perfect for me because I could go to Kansas City under the guise of going to see Willie and visiting the Chiefs, which I did about once a week, and find a way to sneak around and at least say hi to Rodney or whatever that entailed. And Rodney had two great parents, Willie and Edna, his mom Edna, and we got to be great friends. And Willie coached the running backs in Chicago later with my brother Ron, and we coerced Rodney. All these guys act like they don't know where they're going to go to school, and you're trying to recruit him, and he's going here and going here and going here. And Rodney was coming to SC. We were laughing about it recently. He was coming all the way, but they make you work. They make you work. Yeah. They want to get that great visit. And I think Rodney had a great visit.
I did. The getting off the plane was nice. Having lunch in Marina Del Rey was nice at USC. There were a few folks in the limo, Stephanie, when I got off the plane, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's old school recruiting.
Old school recruiting, but he's right. He's right. My parents knew Norman Nancy and also his brother Ron, who I think he started as a graduate assistant at Arizona when my dad was coaching at U of A back then. So yeah, we've known each other a long time, but he's right. In fact, I think Ron was coaching at Pitt when I was coming out of high school. And I remember he called me and he said, I got to make the call anyway, because they told me to make the call, but you're not coming here. I know where you're going. So I just wanted to say hi.
I kind of, you're going back and refreshing your memory. And I'd forgotten, my brother used to tell me, you should see Willie Peete's son play football. And you were young then and maybe in junior high, whatever. And he said, this guy is phenomenal. And he obviously was right. But that's how far back we go. It's pretty amazing.
It's crazy. And my mom was reminding us, and she's like, I don't know if Rodney knows this, but that when you committed, I guess, or when you said that you were going to come to USC, my dad was so excited. He called the house to tell my mom, And, you know, back then there was no call waiting. It was just a busy signal. And so, she was on the phone. Well, who knows? Her sister, somebody. We're like, who were you on the phone with? But she was on the phone. And so he dialed the operator to break in for an emergency call. Because I guess you could do that before call waiting, before busy. You could call the operator and say, you have to interrupt this call. It's an emergency. And so she gets this emergency break-in from the operator. And he just called to say, hey, Rodney's coming to USC.
Wow.
I used that
That's so funny.
I think he
break in a few times.
Yeah, I think he maybe pushed the limits on the emergency brake.
I love that story.
But that's her memory. She was like, oh yeah, he had to do an emergency call to tell me that he was coming. It's funny.
Yeah, that was interesting times. And you mentioned when you were born, but yeah, I remember Norv. He had me come out early. I was ready to leave Kansas City in the summertime anyway to come up to California. So I think we were working out down in Orange County somewhere. I think
down in Long Beach, over by Long Beach State.
Long Beach. Yeah, we were working before camp started. I don't know if that was legal either, but
I don't think that was legal. But we had Joe Cormier and our guy Salisbury, and I've just been thinking we had a crew. Rodney stepped into. We had a crew at the quarterback position, and we ended up winning the Rose Bowl freshman year, and after our starter got hurt, we played Tim Grain, who played good.
Yeah.
But Rodney was right. And I'll never forget, we had a scrimmage. You probably remember we had a scrimmage, and like the thirds and fourths went against the ones, and it was like a situation the week before the opening game, get ready for the game, and Rodney took the threes and the fours, and we had a good defense. It was a strength. Jack Del Rio, Dwayne Bickett, Tim McDonald. We had some guys, and they just take the ball. Rodney takes the ball, and they go right down the field and score, and then go right down the field and score. And he's running and throwing, scrambling and hitting guys. And I'm looking, I'm saying to myself, I think we're playing the wrong guy here, but it's the way it worked out, and it ended up working out great, obviously.
No, it did. Look, it's different nowadays, obviously, and we'll get into that, but back then, going from high school to college was a jump. And so just getting everything acclimated, I kind of knew going in, and that was the good thing about Norv, your dad. He was straight up. He was like, look, we've got Sean Salisbury. He's coming off. He's going to be our starter. We got this junior college. Tim Green was big time at that point, right? He was coming out of junior college as a big time quarterback, and he ended up signing with SC. And it's like, we got these two guys, and so you're probably gonna redshirt, but we'll see how it is. And I had in my mind, I was already set to redshirt. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take the year and just get situated with college and make that jump. And probably had too much fun my freshman year, but it was it was good for me to have to wait and see and take your time and watch those other guys work and watch how things were done. It was beneficial for me just to kind of sit back and watch a little bit, and it worked out because the next year I was able to play midway through and then go on and play 3 more years after that. So it was good.
Unbelievable career at USC, and I was just reminding myself of some of the things, and the All-American quarterback and the All-Pac. I don't know, was it Pac-10 quarterback, and
back then,
across town, one of your future teammates, and I had the chance to coach. He's been on with us. Troy Aikman was the backup All Pac-10 quarterback to our Rodney Peete. So it was and great success on the field. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
I think it is. That is the difference. I mean, and it's changed so much, obviously, with NIL and everything. But that, like what you're talking about, Rodney, that you knew you had a year, you were going to learn, get your bearings, like learn the team, find your spot and everything. And I think that there's this impatience now, I think, with
Yeah.
these young guys where it's like, if they don't get what they want right away, they're just going to go somewhere else. They're going to transfer. And I don't know. I think maybe you miss some of that maturity and that like ability to really develop by just being somewhere and being a part of a team.
Yeah. You hit it on the head. And I think that's, and I don't want to sound like the old man get off my lawn guy, but I do believe that it's a problem with college, especially college football right now. Even basketball to a certain extent, but football mainly because in football you gotta stay 3 years. Basketball they can go one and done and get out of there. But you're right. It was, and your dad knows this. When SC, they recruited all of the All-Americans. Back then, it was everybody wanted to go to USC, and when you got there, you thought you were excuse my language, you thought you were the shit in Kansas City or the best player in Arizona. You thought you were the best in DC. Well, all those guys were. Where they came from Florida, they came from Texas, they were the best of the best, and you learned how to compete. You learn how to compete for the job. You learn how to compete for playing time. You learn how to, okay, I might not be a starter now, but I'm going to find my way to get in there. I'm going to work in the offseason. I'm going to work my way up to they're not going to be able to take me off the field. Mm-hmm. And to your point, I think that if, there's a competition at quarterback in college football, and I say they bring in 2 freshmen or there's a freshman and sophomore because the senior left, those guys compete in the spring and one guy emerges as the starter. The other guy's leaving.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's gone somewhere else. I mean, it's damaged it a little bit. And look, there's some great quality play, but I think that when you look up and see the kid at UCLA, right, who, wanted more money at Tennessee and decided to leave, mm-hmm. I don't know what his future is going to hold, but it certainly staying at Tennessee would have been a better situation for him than going, unfortunately, to UCLA to where that program is right now. Right. And he struggled this year. And he's apparently a big-time talent. But because he was not getting enough money on the NIL at Tennessee, he decided, I'm going to transfer and leave. And the coach was like, okay, see ya. Which, by the way, I liked a little bit.
Yeah.
You can't let the kids strong-arm you that much. It is going to be what it's going to be. But I think that is a deficiency, I think, right now with especially young quarterbacks in college is that a lot of times they're playing right away, but also there's very little competition for the position. And I get guys want to play. I get that. There's a place I can go and play right now. But at the same time, you lose that competition of fighting for your job.
Right. And I mean, you can look at your entire career and say like that never ends because obviously you've been starting quarterback, you were backup quarterback. Like we know how crazy the league can be and how football is. And the guy who's going to be your, starting quarterback, like he could get hurt week 1, week 2, like, and then the whole picture changes for everybody.
100%.
And sometimes it's kind of like, I mean, it's football and it's life, right? Like you might think, oh, like I'm not the person, I didn't get the job or whatever. And then 2 weeks down the road, a month down the road, like you could be in a completely different situation. And some of that is just letting like the chips fall, like letting things sort of play out and having, I don't know if it's faith or the perseverance or the belief that things will play out the way they need to play out.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, we probably, the guy that's considered the best that ever played the position was a backup.
Right.
Right. And got playing time because Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Right.
And if he doesn't get hurt, probably doesn't play that year. They don't go to the Super Bowl with him. I don't know what happens if Drew stays in there, but he was ready to go. And the same thing for me in college was I was a backup to Sean, and we were struggling. And then Ted Tollner, who was head coach at the time, decided to make a change late in the season, and I came in and played well, and we my second game, we beat UCLA, and it kind of put me on a map. And it was like, okay, the rest is history at USC. But you're right, all through there was competition when I went to Detroit. There was competition, leaving Dallas to go to Philly. I was a backup until they decided to make a change with Randall Cunningham. I mean, so you gotta compete and stay ready. It is one of the hardest jobs out there is being the back because you don't get any reps. You just got to be ready to play at all times.
Yeah.
The one thing that I think ends up happening, you're going to have when you're a quarterback in the NFL, when you're a player in the NFL, you're gonna when you're a coach in the NFL, you're gonna have adversity, and you have to be able to handle it. And transferring to another school, and I'm not against that, but it does alleviate the adversity. But when you get to Detroit or I go to Washington as a head coach, there's going to be adversity, and Monday you can't go home. Monday after a rough game, you can't go home. You got to face it, and you got to, okay, how are we going to solve this issue? And I think the young guys miss that. I think I have a lot of theories about why these young quarterbacks struggle in different situations, and one of them is they're not used to handling that adversity and not being the best right away and understanding they have a lot to learn. I say this all the time, and when we had Troy on, I said it. Playing quarterback in college football now is so much different than playing quarterback in the NFL because it's just so much more competitive in the NFL. And you watch some of these games, and a quarterback can play in college, and quarterback can play a whole game and not get hit unless he's
not get touched.
Running some kind of zone read. In NFL, they don't get touched till the first play, and the right tackle misses a block. It's more physical and it's more competitive, and the coverages are better and players are faster, and it's a whole different game. And there's a transition you have to make, and the guys who struggle don't make that transition. The guys who have success, but it's not going to happen overnight. And you lived it, and you obviously made the transition and had success wherever you played. And you experienced that thing, and it's more that way now because of the style of offenses and the matchups that you get in college and the style of the passing game. They're almost playing 7-on-7 in a lot of situations.
Yeah, they don't. You're right, and they don't. First of all, they don't get touched, like you said. And then secondly, guys are running wide open. The windows are so large that when they make that jump from college to pro, and you got to fit a ball in there that's a tight coverage ball. But the guy is considered open in the NFL, and you got to make that throw with accuracy. A lot of guys struggle with that. I mean, we see not to take shots, a kid in Minnesota right now, McCarthy's struggling with that. And windows and hitting open guys and just the pressure coming from Michigan where he had all the talent, right? Like you said, never got touched, never got pressured, never got anything, and has to deal with that pressure now playing in the NFL. It's a whole different story. And I'm sure, you said you had Troy on, but I know going through the pains, that rookie 1-15 season he had to go through, that shaped him. He talks about that all the time, how when you guys went and won the Super Bowl, to be able to celebrate with those guys that went through that struggle in Dallas.
Yeah.
You talk about getting up the next day and going to work on Monday in Dallas. It's similar, like you said, in Washington. You can't go home. So it matters when you have to compete and you have to go through some things.
Yeah.
Speaking of competing, I told Steph I gotta tell this story because now if we keep talking and forget to do it, but Rodney came to Washington in 1999. I was able to sign him, get it done way too late, but finally got it done. And Brad Johnson was a starter, and he had his knee scoped, and Rodney came in, and we had Casey Walton, who had played at Florida State, and we had everyone over for dinner and Nancy cooked and made her. That's the start of the apple pie. That's where the myth of the apple pie starts. She makes an apple custard pie that's unbelievable.
Yes,
And
it is.
Big Brad fell in love with that apple pie. But we had a big basement and had a ping pong table downstairs. And next thing you know, Brad and Rodney and Casey have the wildest, they're rotating ping pong game. You remember ping pong game going, and they are just competing. Yeah. You would think it's the world championship ping pong, and they're just pouring sweat down. I go down in their shirts or with maybe Casey had his shirt off or something. I mean, and Brad they're talking crap and playing, and I'm going, wow, this is one. We need a video of this thing. That was
it was because I'm sure like after dinner, Norm and Nancy like, okay, you guys got to get out of here by now. You know, don't just stay. We stood down there and we were going at it, talking mess to each other. And you're right, we left there. We were drenched in sweat and just talking because we all thought it didn't matter what you played, you just wanted to compete. And,
right.
And we were going at it. That was a fun night. That was absolutely a great night. That was a good year. I had a lot of fun that year in Washington. That was great. I finally got there because things were going south in Philadelphia, so I was glad to get out of there. So it was good.
Yeah, we had a chance to get Rodney, and our guys fell through on me. That was when I first went to Washington in '94, and Rodney took Detroit to the playoffs, then took Philadelphia to the playoffs. And meantime, we couldn't get there until Rodney joined us in '99. We finally found the key. But the most classic was in '99. Is the year that Dan Snyder took over the team. He bought it in May of that year. So it was Brad and Rodney and Casey, and it was a mess because Dan was like 32 years old and had no idea what he's doing, but he
thought he knew everything.
He thought he had invented the game.
He thought he was a fan, and he wanted to pull all the strings and say, "Oh, you should do this, you should do that."
He was the best second guesser in the world. But one great story was he said, "We're going to trade for Barry Sanders," and I said, What are you going to give him? Half the franchise? I mean, how do you think you're going to Barry Sanders? And I said, we have other needs. We don't need a back. He goes, what do you mean? I said, we got this young guy that we've been grooming. It's his third year. It was Stephen Davis. He goes, why do you think he's a good player? And I said, well, one reason, Dan, is because I've been doing this for about 25 years. And I've coached about 15 guys that have rushed for over 1,000 yards. We've coached guys that led the league in rushing. Been there when we had Ricky Bell and Marcus Allen and Charlie White at SC. I've been around some guys, and I'm not saying this guy is Eric Dickerson, but he can go, and he's ready. And Steven ends up rushing for 1,600 yards, and we make the playoffs. We win the division, and but he forgot that conversation that I told him Steven might be there.
Of course he did.
But it made the job a lot harder.
Yeah, I bet it did. And that year we had Tampa beat too. We had them beat. We had them beat. There was a crazy play that I think Warwick Dunn was the running back. He fumbled. And it bounced right to Sean King, and he got it and threw a first down. But the game was over at that point. But yeah, we had them beat. I think we would have beat the Rams too.
Well, we were even going down to kick the game. We were on the 40. Yeah. It was going to be a 42-yard field goal, and the ball rolls back instead of getting to the holder, and we're going to kick the game-winning field goal. Without it was the running back. He played for Tampa. Sean King gets hit. The ball rolls back.
Yeah, Warwick Dunn. Yeah.
It's going to be a sack, fumble. And if we recover it, the game is, they got no chance. And Warwick Dunn picks it up and runs for a first down. And then the next thing you know, they score. And But still, we had a chance to go kick the game winning
To
field
go
goal
win that, yeah.
and didn't get it done.
See how you never
I know.
things,
You
right?
guys never
You
forget all the specific things about a game. I think I black it out. I think the trauma of the losses from the coach's family section is too much. No, I think I remember certain game moments, but it is those last couple years in Washington were so stressful just because we were kids and DC was a very intense football city like Philly, like Dallas, and people either loved my dad or hated him, and a lot of people were wanting him to get fired. And I was 16, so then my older brother Scott graduated high school and he went to college after that. But then my dad took the coordinator job at the Chargers for 1 year. And so I finished high school in San Diego, kind of like you, Rodney. I moved before my senior year. And Drew, my younger brother, was in middle school. And I think we were so emotionally drained from the Washington year, the season before, that we would be in the Charger games. And the stakes were lower because he was the offensive coordinator. But we would fall asleep in Qualcomm in the third quarter. Like we would just start to doze off because I think we just couldn't be invested. And we had to take a season off. And we laugh about it because we were like, we would just take like a little nap in the third quarter and be like, wake up and be like, oh, did we win? Did we lose? What's going on? We were just like, needed a break.
It's hard. No, I get it. It is hard. I mean, when you're doing it, and like for me, it was on both sides because it was difficult on my parents as a player, right? And then watching me play and all that kind of stuff. It's when you have kids, you care more about with the kids' success, and you feel it for them when they were playing sports. It's like you can't do anything about it, but also when it's your parents and you can't do anything about it, that's a tough thing. And I would often find myself. I remember I remember being at SC and just tracking Kansas City. It was like I think my dad's third or fourth year there with John Mackovic was the head coach, and they were struggling, and it was just like you could feel like the writing was going to be on the wall at some point, but you could just feel it. It just didn't. You just felt every moment of it, and he always kept a straight face anyway. But as a kid, watching those moments until you feel everything about it when you hear things. I was lucky to be like away. You said you were 16 in DC, which is intense, like you mentioned. But I was lucky to be in college when he was in the pros and he was going through that, and they eventually got let go in Kansas City. But that's a tough thing as a family and as a kid, especially hearing that about your parents.
Yeah. And I think it's now being an adult and doing my own thing and working as a writer, director, and actor. Like I think the perspective, I do think it is harder. I think sometimes to have a family member doing something publicly that they might be criticized, like coaching or whatever, because I feel like it was harder to read something that someone didn't like that my dad did or whatever than it is to read something if somebody says, oh, I don't like the movie she wrote. Because for me, it's like, I know why I made the choices I made, and I know why, this happened or that happened. Like it's from my own individual perspective. And I think like I could see that and relate to my dad. I know like different things I would read the press say or whatever, like, how could they say that? Or why would they say that? But he knew exactly why he made a decision. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And it's not, maybe you're not as like, I don't know, sensitive to it because you know why it happened and exactly what the intention was. And sometimes the ball doesn't bounce the way you want it to bounce.
Well, did you feel as you got older? Did you go ahead, Norm? I'm sorry.
No, the biggest thing, and fans, as much as everyone would like to think they know something about the game, basically, really, what they want is they want to win, and you can beat someone 13-10, and go in the locker room and feel like God, we played terrible, and not feel good about the win. Feel good that you won, but we didn't play. We didn't execute. We didn't do the things we're capable of doing. And the fans love you. Hey, great game. We won. Yeah. And then go out and play and turn around and play really well against a good team. And they make something happen in the game and beat you. And you think, I'm not sure there's a lot of things we could have done different. That's a good team, and we played right there, and it was one that didn't go our way. And you're the dumbest guy in the world, because you didn't win. So that's the biggest thing. And what's happened now, and we've talked about it with a number of guys, that gambling's become such a big part of professional sports, college sports, particularly NFL. Now you could win a game and feel really good about how you played, but if you didn't cover the spread, there's a bunch of people that aren't real happy with you, Yeah. You took a knee at the end of the game. We needed that field goal to cover the over or cover the spread. That's obviously the last thing on your mind, but that's one thing that helps you with the perspective that, a 11-year-old daughter or son, they don't understand that that's part of the game now as we're going. Right. But Scott's with the Jets, and they're on a rebuild, and they're obviously struggling. They've won a couple games.
Got a big win yesterday.
Big win.
Yes, they did.
And Scott has this 11-year-old and a boy and a 9-year-old girl. And it was funny because before we went to the game, we were back there. I think it was the Dallas game. And Harry, his son, says, "Hey, Dad, we got to win. We got to win this week. It's time to win. We got to win." Okay, we'll do what we can. And really what he wanted, why he wanted to win bad, and I talked to Scott's wife, Robin, a little bit after, is he wanted to be able to go to school and say we won, not have to take all the bullshit
all the heat
from the heat from his classmates that the Jets are terrible. They lost again, Harry. So that's something that is part of it too.
Yeah,
that is tough. That is tough. And Steph, you like you said, you were in the stands, and again, I was only there during college at University of Arizona. So when my dad went to the pros, I was older, and in college myself. But yeah, having to go to school that, the next day or the week or whatever, and to hear it because people know and they start talking, it's difficult. I'm sure, as difficult was on you, which is tough. I'm sure it was killing your dad to know that kids would say certain things at school. And you speaking about that game, you could play your best. Remember the first game we had in '99? We had Dallas beat, like we were beating the you-know-what out of them. And they came back and scored like 17 points in the fourth quarter and then threw a big pass in overtime. And I don't know if we could have played a better, especially offensively, better game. Brad had a big game. We were killing them.
It was unreal, Albert.
Unreal.
That group, we had some playmakers. The one play, and it's still managing games and all that. I don't know how much time was left, 15, 20 seconds. And I've learned to be a little more careful down there, but we had a chance to score another touchdown. We're ahead 21-3, I think.
Yeah.
And the only thing I told Brad, I said, Brad, now, if we got the touchdown, great. But whatever you do, we got to end this game. We end the play with the ball because we can kick a field goal and go up. I think we might have been ahead 21-0.
Yeah.
And Brad went back and play action and looked and then he started running left, and then he started to turn back, and he never saw the guy coming, and gets the ball knocked out of his hand. And it ended up being, the deciding points. But you learn from those situations. And I laugh when even the other night on TV, there was 8 seconds left, and the announcer saying, well, they can get one more throw in there, We got no timeouts. They can get one more throw in there and get a chance to get the touchdown.
Yeah.
Analytics, all these analytics guys.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, just kick, get the 3 points, and you got another half coming.
I do the same thing. That's funny. I do the same thing. It's like 8 seconds left, 7. Everything has to go right. Everything has to go particularly right. If there's one thing that goes wrong, game's over. Game's over. Go kick the field goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that people don't appreciate, the other team knows they have no runs. They can't run the ball here because they don't have a timeout. Yeah. They're going to throw it. They've got to get it into the end zone. They can't let it get tackled short. So what do you think you're seeing from a coverage standpoint? You're seeing the worst possible look to throw into. It just sometimes take the points and you got another half. Let's go.
Yeah.
If I had a question for you, I'm sorry, Steph, not to cut you off, but a football question. When you look at the game now, and you see the way the ball is just thrown all over the place now, and it used to be when, at least in my day, if you were 18 for 22 for 275, that was a good day. A 2 touch, that was a really good day, right? You sometimes got to 300, you were good. It was really good. But now, if you don't throw for 300 yards and you're not 30 for 42 or whatever it may be, that it doesn't matter anymore. When you see the game now, and the emphasis is not so much on the run, which actually, if you go and look at the teams that win, they still run the football.
They can run.
But teams don't run it like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the game now, what do you see? And does it, I know it's changed, but do you like it?
Here's what I'll say to you. The teams that are willing to run, that can run and spend time working on the run, if you look at the last 4 or 5 years, as you say, this thing's changing, they end up having the best records. They end up winning the division. They end up the teams that are in the final 8, final 4, understanding that you also have to be able to throw the ball. If you're not balanced, that goes back forever. If you couldn't throw the ball, you're in trouble. But we visited with Michael Irvin a few weeks ago. His comment to us, he goes, I never in my career caught a ball behind the line of scrimmage. All these little bubble screens, and they push the guy out in motion and have 2 blockers, and they throw him a hitch, just a look.
Yeah.
And what that part of the passing game is really part of the running game, because if they don't get the look they want in the run, then they throw the ball out to the receiver and let them go. And that's what college football does. I mean, they're spread out and they throw those quick. And so the receivers don't spend as much time. They're not great route runners. They don't spend as much time working on that, the timing of pushing the ball up the field, making plays up the field. Someone was talking about one of the better NFL teams. They said they run the ball, they throw it short, and they throw it deep. They have no intermediate passing game, and it's true. And I think some of these quarterbacks are protected so much by that. When they get into the situations where they got to throw it and they got to play like you're used to playing, and they're down 10 with 10 minutes left, and they got to go. That's where you see a lot of the deficiencies. That it's not together. Right now it's not the same. And I still like the teams that can run it, but I like the teams that have a complete passing game. And one player can make a change. I look at Dallas and the resurgence they've had in the last month, and Pickens has changed it. Yeah, he's changed it because he's brought CeeDee Lamb back to life, and CeeDee Lamb is the upfield big play guy, and Pickens. I mean, he's playing like Michael Irvin. He's slants and dig
tough
routes
catches,
and comebacks,
all of that.
And he, like you were saying earlier, you got to throw him the ball. He may look covered, but he's got a great catch radius. He's got great range.
Find a way to get him the ball.
Great competition, and that's what Michael would do. I mean, Troy got to the point. Michael's running her out, and it opens up, and there's a throwing lane. He doesn't care about the corner on his back. Michael's going to outcompete him for the ball.
And he knew Mike was not going to get it intercepted. He knew Mike was going to make sure he caught it, or the other guy wasn't going to get it.
Yeah, and that's what's lost really in the NFL passing game now, and it's probably safer, but I think you're not as complete as you need to be. You need to be able to make plays in the passing game. I like watching the Rams. They have a complete passing game. I like watching, and they do run the ball. I like watching Kansas City. They don't, Andy's never liked to run the ball. He runs it, but they have a complete passing game, and they get with Mahomes, he keeps it alive and gets the ball up the field. But you have to be able to make those type of plays in the passing game, and that's why, in my opinion, the development of the quarterbacks is slower with these young guys coming in, because they're playing in the offenses where they're not throwing the ball up the field. They're throwing the bubbles, the checkdowns, the wide receiver screens in college, those type of things. And I don't know if they get enough reps, practice, all the things of reading a defense and competing and playing. We could name a number of guys. That's why I'm impressed with Drake May, what he's doing in New England, because they have a complete offense, and he's playing quarterback the way you and I envision playing quarterback. Matthew Stafford plays quarterback like we would expect a guy to play.
A guy that could play. You think about a guy like those two guys you mentioned would be good in the 90s when we were there in the early 2000s. They would be just as good. And then you look at some of the guys that just never got under center and just all shotgun, and all they're doing is 7-on-7 since they were 14 years old. And some of those guys struggle.
Yeah, I think what has happened with Arch Manning has been really educational if you pay attention, because it's just what we were talking about that used to happen. He didn't play as a young guy. He sat behind someone. He played a little bit, used him sparingly. And then, I have a lot of respect for Sarkisian and what he does and what he's been able to do. But then Arch starts playing, and it's not as easy. It's not as fluid as it's supposed to be. But you watch his season, and it's in an upward arc, and he's improved all the way through, and his talent's going to overcome all of it. But obviously, the experience of playing at that level of competition, and running that style of offense.
Yeah, and should come back next year, right? He should play again at Texas one more year.
I hope he does. I hope he does. It's we'll have another one of those deals where you go to a team that's not real good, and then his Peyton struggled, Troy struggled. There've been a lot of young guys that have struggled trying to play their first year. If he played another year and he's in a good situation, good team, good coach, and he'll just keep getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, people are always worried about getting hurt, but it's like you can get hurt in the NFL too. I mean, it's like, I know it's like about the money and all of that, but some of it is maturing and getting in those reps and developing.
Oh, no question. And I don't care. Rodney experienced it as a player. I was up in Oregon and got the hell beat out of me, but there's nothing more rewarding and more exciting than being the quarterback at USC or being a quarterback at Texas and being on a great team and the fun of playing and the camaraderie and that part of it. Those guys you play in college with, they stay with you the rest of your life. Even the guys we've coached. I mean, through the years, I keep in touch with Rodney. We'll be somewhere and see Ronnie Lott. Just Hobie Brenner was a tight end of ours. I get a Christmas card every year. There's just those experiences that you can't, they're pretty special.
Yeah. The college experience is special. You're right. I mean, even like today, the guys that I hang out with are the guys I went to college with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just went to, like, 6 of us went to the UCLA game this past weekend. So, yeah, it is that. And I hope he does stay, because I think that experience for him at Texas, because it was a rough start. I think you're right. He's on an upward arc. The win over Texas A&M was big. It was big for him. But to have a full year of that experience at Texas, that a place like that, I think it'd be great for him. And Steph, you mentioned, the injury thing. I know everybody talks about that, but you don't know when it's coming.
Right.
You don't know. You have no idea. You could slip in the shower.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, there are years where I got beat up more than I got ever thought in my life and played all the way through. And then there are years I never got touched and, planted and tore my Achilles tendon.
Right.
So it's just, you just never know, and you can't play that way. It's just the nature of sports.
Yeah. So we mentioned you being a pioneer for Black quarterbacks. And I was wondering if you would speak to that a little bit, just in terms of the, playing at USC and coming into the league in that era of football, which was very different than right now, and what that experience was like, and just sort of what memory you have of that time, and being drafted probably later than everyone thought you were going to be, and just kind of what memories you have from that period of time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I would say I'm happy and excited to where it is now.
Yeah.
Just in a lot of different ways. And it was a tough time, and I didn't realize how tough it was until draft day. I really didn't. Because I just thought all that mattered was you go play. You just play. And I'm grateful. And I think I've told your dad that. I'm grateful for him recruiting me as a quarterback and allowing me to come there and be a quarterback there and play quarterback. There were a number of schools. I played, in high school, you played both offense and defense. You do all the different things. And there were a number of cool schools that recruited me as a defensive back, or they wanted me to play wide receiver, or they wanted me to play something else. And he recruited me as a quarterback. And that alone, just will never, ever forget that and cherish that, because he did that. In a day and age where most often, if you were athletic and you were a Black quarterback in high school, they found another position for you. They wanted to move you around because, he's an athlete, so he can play multiple positions. He'd probably be better at safety or corner or wide receiver. Let's do this. And there was an image of a quarterback, right? It was you had to be 6'4" and you had to be tall and with a big, powerful arm. If you ran around, you played at Oklahoma. Where you ran the option, right? I didn't want to do that. And so given that opportunity, it was great. And when I got drafted, the only thing it did was just motivated me. That's all. At that time, there was in the league, there was only two Black quarterbacks. Randall Cunningham, who was, in essence, he drafted him as a punter, but ended up playing in Philadelphia because they couldn't keep him off the field. And then Warren Moon. And Warren Moon had to go 5 years and play in Canada before he could get a shot down in the NFL. And Norv knows it because he coached against Warren, and when Warren played at Washington, was a phenomenal player. So that was the only people I could look at. Okay, they're playing right now. But I just looked at the draft, and there were like 9 guys that went before me, and I just it motivated me because it was one of those things that was kind of always in me, that if someone doubted whether I could do something, it just made me work harder and made me want to do it more.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people, because I played baseball too, and a lot of people say, just forget that. You got drafted in 6th round. Just go play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Just go play baseball, and you'll make more money. You'll last longer. The career is longer. All that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, but I couldn't live with myself if I didn't go play football when they thought I couldn't play, and there was all these teams that thought I couldn't play, and so I use that as a motivator. And I look up now, and all the things that were, I guess, I was labeled.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't tall enough. I didn't have a strong enough arm, or I wasn't accurate. All those things, you look up and you see the guys that are drafted now playing now. And not just playing, but drafted high. It was great. It's great to see. It is great to see the Lamars, Mahomes, all the guys that are running around doing their thing, but also playing the position well.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the position well. It's great to see.
Well, the thing, because I had gone from USC in '84 to the Rams and was there 6 seasons before I went to Dallas, but it was too short. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about general evaluation, and it was kind of, those were things that were listed without saying, we don't want to deal with a black quarterback.
Yes.
We don't want to deal with everything that's involved. The fans want, and there were some real strong organizations that did, in Washington, obviously, the Redskins with Gibbs, they were in the forefront, and I think, and someone's got to believe. And in Detroit, you had Wayne Fonts, Levy was there, the group of guys that knew who you were and knew what you were and how you would go about doing it, and that connection is important. But it's not important enough to push you from a 2nd round pick to a 6th round pick. Those are, that was one of those deals where, God, I can't believe he's still here. Let's take Rodney, and then you end up starting for him. By the way, I was in the press box in '91 when you ran that bootleg and your Achilles went on. We were getting beat, and I was feeling bad for you, but unfortunately,
that was 91 in the Silverdome. We had it rolling. I actually saw you guys again in the playoffs. That was the Eric Kramer had a good game against you guys in that playoff game.
I think that, like what you were saying, Dad, is just that, and I don't know that younger generations realize that how Black athletes were perceived, and maybe it's younger generations of white people, because I think Black people probably understood exactly, sort of what was, like what you were saying, the sort of excuses of, why don't you play wide receiver instead? Or why don't you, not play this position? But I think there was the image, there was this idea, certain owners, organizations, or whatever, like you said, Rodney, where it was, what is the image of a quarterback? And was it this, 6'4" white guy, or handsome, or, the guy who's going to be in commercials or whatever, and that,
it's the
great.
face of their franchise.
Yeah,
the face of the franchise. So, do you want that? And that was the thing. And another thing that happened, during that time, I don't know if you remember, but it was the spring of '88. I played, my last season was '88 fall. Spring of '88 was the Al Campanis interview on Nightline, where he talked, and it went crazy viral. And if it was social media back then, it would have been crazier.
Mm-hmm.
But he talked about how blacks are not leaders and they're not buoyant and they can't swim. And he went through a list of a bunch of stuff. And he just kept hanging himself. As the time went on, he kept hanging himself. And Ted Koppel was on ABC Nightline at the time, kept giving him a chance to just correct himself. And he never did. Mm-hmm. And it was just, and he was running the Dodgers at the time. And it was the mentality of a front office guy of what he thought about the black athlete. And what I think a lot of people took from that is like, okay, he's saying it, but that's how most of the execs think when it comes. And then on top of that, in football, that's especially how they think about quarterback in the face of the franchise. And so that was, I'm like, oh man, this is crazy. I'm getting ready to go into my senior year of football, and it's like, okay, I gotta do everything I can.
Yeah.
And ironically, I played baseball. That was during baseball season is when that came up. And I played baseball at SC with his grandson, Jim Campanis.
Wow.
At that time. And I can remember him coming the next day crying in the locker room and apologizing. And I remember just putting and it was like a number of football guys played baseball too. And I remember putting my arm around him saying, hey, I love you, man. I know that's not you. That's your grandpa. It's just a different way and different generation, whole deal. And he never forgot it. And we still are friends to this day. But I know how devastating it was for him. But that was the mentality. And that's what people were thinking back then. And he said it out loud. And
well,
it was like, oh.
That's the difference. He said it out loud. I'm curious as when you were drafted and how many back rooms where the owner, the coach, general manager, or whatever, were having a conversation. Yeah, we like this guy, but do we really, is that what we want to do? You know, there's another guy over here. There's 9 guys in front of you. You know, is that what we really want to do? And it takes someone who knows you, like I said. And one of the guys I admire, and I met him a couple of times, and it was great to be around. But John McKay was so far ahead of his time. When I was in high school, Jim, I think his name was Jim Jones, was the quarterback. Obviously,
at USC.
Yeah, USC. Vince Evans was a quarterback and took a lot of abuses until his senior year, and he had a great senior year MVP.
Well, Jimmy was the guy went down to Alabama, right? When the team went down to Alabama, and John McKay took him down to Alabama. He was the black quarterback that went down there and beat Alabama in the South and changed the whole dynamic of everything, which made me a big USC lover in the first place. But yeah, I remember that. And that was another reason. I mean, you pointed that out as well, that we've had black quarterbacks at this university in the 70s when it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
It was,
And it takes someone like a McKay's stature and belief. And then, he went to Tampa and did the same thing. He's
right.
You got to respect him for those things because he was ahead of his time.
Yeah. And how much do you think, your dad being a coach and you having that sort of family background helped with your confidence, just in terms of knowing? Because
it helped a lot, Steph. I would just say because I was around the environment.
Yeah.
Right. I knew what different guys were going through. I never was in shock or awe of, oh my God, this is big time college football. I don't know what this is all about. I was right in the mix. I was a water boy. I was the ball boy. I was on the sidelines. I was right in there. And so I was just, I felt it. And he brought me around to allow me to feel that atmosphere. And so when it came time for me to do it myself, I was like, I've been here before. This is natural. This is where I belong. And so that's how I handle it. And it really, I benefit from that tremendously.
Yeah. I mean, our show is called The Family Business, and I think about that a lot. I mean, people talk about nepotism in terms of Hollywood or coaching. Oh, this guy got a job because his dad was a coach or whatever. And you see that throughout the league, right? I mean, just my brother's a coach, but I always say, and I mean, these jobs are so competitive. So there's only so far that can get you. But the other thing is it's the family business. It's like, this is what we grew up doing. This is what we grew up around. We were at practice. We were waiting for our dad, watching film, watch this play, run it back, watch this guy, watch how he's lined up. Look where he went. He missed his block. It's so ingrained in you. And I think, like you said, there is that part where it's not like you're not affected by the bigness of it all, but it's like it lets you take it in a different way, because there isn't this like, oh my God, I'm on a professional football field, or, it's a part of, it's in your blood. It's a part of how you grew up. And a lot of people work in the family business, but I feel like the people who get criticized for it are just like the fun jobs, like the movie job, like the plumber that took over his dad's family business. They don't call that nepotism.
Nobody says anything about it, right?
They don't say Joe took over his dad's company. Like,
Joe, exactly. The investment company that the 5 of the kids that got groomed into doing, and all of a sudden they're running it. Nobody says anything about it.
Right. It's just, but we just happen to grow up in a world where, they're not easy jobs, but they're fun and exciting, and football and all that.
100%.
You brought up the baseball, and you were around great players at USC playing football. At all different spots. But the one, just give us a few names on that baseball team you played on, because it's the SC baseball in those days was as good as it gets.
It was. First, the biggest name was Randy Johnson. The big unit was our pitcher, and he was our ace. And 6'10", coming off that mound in college, it was like I had never seen anything like that. It was impressive. And Jeff Brown was a very good baseball player. He was a baseball player too. Played linebacker for that football team. Jack Del Rio was on the team. Del Rio was a catcher.
He talks about. He always talks about catching Randy.
He was a catcher. And the Boone boys, Brett Boone was our second baseman. And another guy, Brett Barbery, was our shortstop. They all went on and played in the big leagues. And it was pretty formidable. And obviously the legendary Rod Dato was the coach for me for 3 of those years, which is incredible, because he is, whatever you see from Tommy Lasorda, he got it from Rod Dato. They were best friends, but Rod Dato was older, and Tommy and Rod were best friends. And you see clips of Tommy Lasorda, but that's exactly the way Rod Dato was.
Yeah. Well, I loved it when SC would go play the Dodgers. In the spring. Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. It was right after their spring training before the season's going to start, and that was as fun a game to go to as you could.
Unbelievable. I tell people that to this day, that we got an opportunity to go play the Dodgers right after they would before they would head to Florida for spring training. We would go play them. And Tommy had a relationship with Rod. And the thing about it is that Tommy would play his guys. So we would be there and Sachs would be at second. Mike Marshall would be in the out. I hit off Fernando. Mm-hmm. Fernando pitched. And so it was impressive. And those games were great for us.
That was awesome.
And those guys took it seriously, and we took it seriously because we're playing at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
But it was the greatest thing in the world that we got a chance to play those guys every single year. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Speaking of the Dodgers, I loved that segment that they did on RJ during the World Series. That was just so great and so fun to see him doing his thing. And I shared that with so many people. I think you posted it on Instagram. Check out Rodney's Instagram to see it. But it was really, really cool to see him working in the dugout.
Yeah, it's been special. For him to have his life changed like that, being diagnosed with autism at 3 and then not being nonverbal for a couple of years, and then being able to find a position like that at the Dodgers where they embrace him and treat him like family. It's been really special for us and our family, and for him and his growth. It changed his life dramatically in so many ways. They treat him like family, like he's a little brother, and embrace him every single day. And every time we thank them for what they've done for him, they stop us and say, "No, we thank you for what he's done for us," because he comes in with that positive attitude every single day and lifts us up, even after a bad series or bad game or bad day. And he's always there with a smile on his face and a big hug. So they always thank us. So we're thankful. And he got his third ring, believe it or not, this past
That's
year.
amazing.
That's
So
awesome.
it's pretty cool.
That's
Pretty cool.
amazing.
And a nice bonus. So that's good too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna let you go. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys.
I have to ask you guys one last question. We ask all of our guests. If you didn't play football, what would you do? What would you have done?
Play baseball.
Okay.
That was the
That's
easiest
an
one
easy one.
we've
That's
had.
an easy one. All right. We'll let you have it.
All right.
You got it.
Appreciate
Deal.
it, Rodney. We'll
Love
see,
you guys.
All
We'll
right.
see you.
Love you. We'll
SoFi.
Yes,
Stop in and
absolutely.
see Joe and Sharon.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Love you guys.
All right. Thanks
See
for
ya.
coming on. Thank you so
Take
much
care.
for tuning in. Remember to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we will see you on the next one.